G'day guys, and welcome to a quick preview of the Hawkesbury Cup Guineas Crown Day on Saturday. I was going to have a quick look at Eagle Farm as well, but I didn't find too much there going through it. The Victory Stakes is obviously a little bit thin with the small field. I might touch on it quickly, but won't spend too much time on it. Pardon me. Getting into the Hawkesbury program. First of all, the track is a good for at the moment. The fence has not been the place to be there since they've reopened the new track, so I'd assume that it's still probably going to play pretty fair. I doubt there'll be too big an on-pace bias or anything crazy like that. It'll probably be ideal to be outside leader, one out, one back, one out, two back, sort of covering the running line sort of things. Normally the place to be at Hawkesbury, so you want to get your momentum up nice and early in that straight and be getting towards the middle as a rule. The first race of the day is one of these pineapple races for me. I just cannot get a grasp on any of it. My Giuliano second up, jumping 800 metres. Lord Dier's really not firing on all cylinders, even though it looks to get a really good run here. Mortar Platoon's jumping 550 metres. Bit unlucky the other day, but hard to line him up. Plot Twisters open to quickly improving. If he feels like it, he's a tough staying sort of horse if he's fitter now. Looking at You's obviously going really well, but has had exceptionally favourable runs. It's 2 wins. Looks to get the same sort of run here if he can cross and trail Lord Dier. They might go slow, which might suit it again, and probably the one to beat. Great Glen having its third start for Chris Waller, coming up from Melbourne off a luckless effort. First up effort was obviously good, but jumping 500 metres. Napoleon had its chance the other day at this sort of distance level and can improve, but hard to line him up. And the bottom two are probably not exactly up to this class-wise, but you wouldn't put a line through them because of the setups that everyone has. So it's a race where nothing looks well suited, apart from probably looking at You, who does get the right run, but talking about 2-1 about a horse that probably needs every chance again to salute. And there are other horses that can be strong if they tend to go quick or can improve sharply and beat it anyway. So it's just a nothing race for mine, and one that I don't really want to spend any more time than that upon. It's a really pineapple lottery for mine. Race 2. Serena Bay comes up obvious favourite. I'm a little bit confused why it's not a heck of a lot shorter. It looks sort of a $1.50, $1.60 chance to me, especially with 120% market, 125% market like they are. For that to be $1.90 is quite strange for mine. She's coming out of a Group 3, which was run on one of those heavy track days. Group 2, sorry, Phillies race. Beaten a length there. Her main rivals in Tangled is coming out of a Wyong maiden. A Wyong Open 2-year-old. That was running really, really slow time. He sat outside the leader and sat wide there, but that certainly wasn't a disadvantage. The pace that they've really gone at was probably an advantage for a horse of his nature to keep up his momentum and be able to finish over the top of them. Go Daddy Go looked like an interesting horse last time. It's coming off a wet track run. Has had a trial since. Blinkers go on. 5 weeks between runs. Can improve. Icon of Dubai is probably the one that can improve the most. Have a look at its replay quickly here. Number 4 here, sorry, some noise. Lob's in a good position early before ending up dragging back a little bit further than they probably would have hoped for. A little bit aggressive early, settles. This is the day when the fence was absolutely the only place to be. As it turned out, the winner comes from 3 back the fence. This horse here in Easy Go, Easy Win runs well. The eventual outside the leader runs second. And Pride of Icon of Dubai ends up widest runner, shuffled even wider in the straight, and nothing really ran on that well out there that day. So he sat outside off the fence in the run and got wide in the straight, and that was the sort of disastrous setup for the day. And you can see how he continues to grind to the line really quite well with a bit of a gap behind him. So if it was a maiden, I'd be exceptionally keen on Icon of Dubai, but going up in distance, up in grade, and meeting a horse of the calibre of Serena Bay, it's a big query. Heading even further down, I don't mind the look of this horse. Charlie Chap was a good winner orange in what wasn't a normal, typical, average Orange Open class race. First up this preparation, went and ran well behind the Mighty Fed, who is a nice horse, and then only beaten 3.5 lengths there when not every chance gives him at least a place chance here, and he's about 40 to 1. Does get a strange little rider change there, but you know, that's okay. And Fifth Affair I didn't think would back up into this meeting, but he's still there, so I'm really thinking that Serena Bay is going to start closer to $1.50 here. I think Tangled's going to get too far out of his ground and go back and probably struggle to go with her. She'll probably outsprint. Icon of Dubai is the one who'll probably track up there somewhere from that gate and is the logical danger. Go Daddy Go, Charlie Chap, the other value runners for me around Tangled. I really don't want to be laying it because it'll probably get out to $9 or $10, but the one I'm sort of betting around. Serena Bay for me in race 2. Race 3's fallen away a bit here with scratching of under the thumb, and I'm a Cool Kid, who was the horse that I was really quite keen on. It leaves a race that's pretty open now for mine. Most of my names trialled up quite well. At first up, I just thought that he may struggle to cross the other runner from Canberra. I want to get a Watt, who's really racing quite well over 1,000 metres, been in some fast run races over that trip and really fought on well, beaten by a pretty solid open class sprinter in the making in Nikoff last start, and now drops back to this grade. Probably will control or will be first to the fence, and if there's any sort of help there, he's definitely going to be tough to run down. Ruthless Agent comes up favourite back in distance off a 63-day break, blinkers off. Really going to think he's going to struggle to get over the top of these. They might just be a bit too slick for him. Still Undaunted's the one for me that can improve. The pilot's a little bit of a query, but blinkers off. Coming back here, she was dominant first up over 1,000 at Corowa, leading, which is a bit of an advantage there. Got back in the field over 900 at Scone, jumping straight to a Class 1, and did a good job to get over the top of them very late in really fast time, and then went to Randwick in a highway, really fast run on a heavy track, 1,200 metres, and just really knocked up there. So definitely one that can improve back in distance with the blinkers off, and probably a genuine tempo to chase here from a good gate. So Still Undaunted's definitely looks the value. I think it's about $13 at the moment with I'm a Cool Kid out. And they're the two that I'd probably want to be playing here. The leader in Want to Get a Watt and the value in Still Undaunted. It's definitely not a straightforward race, but I think they do look the value runners. And Moss My Name's probably quality, but around its price, $4.20 is probably what it should be. And the other main winning chance I would have thought. Race 4 for the sprinters over the 1100. Felines comes up a narrow favourite in a really open betting race from That's a Good Idea, Clearly Innocent, Grundazit, Old North, Burning Passion, Palazzo Publico, and Brook Road to Turbo, Cool Ring, all in the betting. Felines to me has to be the one to beat, even though it's 6 weeks between runs. It's running the Group 2 first up here. Just watch, got to the outside. This is not an easy race to run in first up. She didn't quite get to that spot you wanted to be, but she got close enough, and she got close enough to the league too. This is English, who'll go around and be a favourite in a Group 1 in Melbourne, and Redzel, who's come out and won since. Very hard to knock this form, and she's just got a little bit tired there, peaking on a run late. Then we go to Rosehill next start, where it was a real advantage to be on pace and up near that inside section. Felines ends up getting out wide here, and even though the winner did come a little bit wide, she really does a good effort here to fight off a couple of runners late and really putting in. I know she's likes that soft ground, but she goes okay on dry too, and just looks like it's enough of a step back, and she's going to find a position, a strong challenging position, to definitely be the one to hold out. I think she'll kick clear, and it's just a matter of whether she can hold off a couple of closes. Really taken by the trial of Old North, second trial behind its stablemate here in Grundazeet. Never would have thought I'd be tipping him in an 1100 metre sprint race, but him back last. Outside the leader. Fast forward a bit and we'll just watch what happens here. They don't exactly break the clock, which is a bit of an issue, but it is a 1050 metre trial, so you don't want to see him busting too hard. You'd rather see him remain a little bit fresh for this sort of trip, considering he's a 2000 metre winner in the past.
Coming past the 200, Grundazeet took it up now, kicked away. Jolie's Pearl, Old North the outside, Labdian getting through between horses. But Grundazeet is in.
Just love what he's doing under no pressure whatsoever there. He's pricked. Leader's gone well as also, but just looks like he's come back in great condition. Old North, and he's definitely going to be flashing late. Whether he gets there or not, it's a bit of an issue. But you know, if there's pressure, he's the one I can see really sprouting down the outside, along with the horse of the calibre of Clearly Innocent. But for me, the 2 on paces to get by are Felines, and that's a good idea. Who's really well placed for the first time in a long time. He hates that wet ground, and he's just not been able to find a race of this level suitable. He runs honestly every time he goes around, and he'll be right there. Felines will come after him, and then it'll be horses like Grundazeet and Old North coming down the outside that they have to hold off. Brook Road's always a bit of an enigmatic horse for these sort of races, but has not won in so long that I'm preferred to sort of give her a break until she shows that she's back in top form. So for me, Felines clearly, that's a good idea. Old North probably second pick as just off that trial. I loved it, and then Grundazeet, and that's a good idea next best. We start the tough races now, or tougher races. And this is just probably too tough for me. Better Not Blue's flying. He's got the kid on for the first time from an inside gate, and if he gets all the breaks, he's probably the one to hold out. It's probably not a kid's horse as a rule, but you've got to say that he's got a really good chance at this level. Invincible's first up, does map really well. Get up the right race. Does map really well. Only shortish break, 75 days. And really does find a position here that looks suitable. Leopari's got Bowman first up from an 8-week break, and does look suited, 1300 metres fresh. I'm not a huge fan of the horse, but he is looks competitive definitely in this lineup. And Costa Line's fresh, and you never know what you're going to get with him, but he's definitely quality on his day. New to the Snowden camp at Starro from New Zealand, had some nice fillies form over there. And does look dangerous here. Lanciato always runs well, but doesn't win out of turn. Gate 17. Tommy's going to have to produce a miracle, but does look like the right horse. It's just a matter of where he gets to and what he's going to have to produce. Yuma Desert's honest, but 1300 metres does look a bit of a query for mine. Feeling the Love's a knockout horse, really ran well for Cushley stable first up, and then a bit of a forgive last start. And I thought Braces really ran well first up, and if he gets a run, can be competitive. It's just a nightmare of a race. You want to be getting huge odds to be playing in it for mine, and I just can't really see myself wanting to get involved. There's no huge value in any runner there that I can see, apart from maybe Feeling the Love at 40s. And Braces might get out to 30 to 1 plus. I could maybe have a little play on them just as an interest. Race 6, first leg of the quaddie. 2 standout performers here in Artistry and Daisy Doom, both coming off, 3 weeks for Artistry, 5 weeks for Daisy Doom. Daisy looks like she's going to get across fairly comfortably here with Sweet Redemption taking it up. Prompt Response gets a run or not. It's a bit of a query, but it definitely looks like Daisy will get on pace without too much effort. Artistry looks like it'll probably settle midfield, and it should be a case of Daisy getting to the front and Artistry trying to run it down. They do look to have a class edge on most of these horses. Look well set up for 1300 metres and very hard to beat. There are a couple of knockouts in. Prompt Response, if it gets a run's obviously ready to go, will be up there with Daisy Doom and in a nice position to strike. The improvers is Shalia from the Waller yard, 7 weeks between runs. Just forgive all 3 runs this preparation basically. Has the ability to measure up to these, and Kin Sashi is the blowout horse first up for John O'Shea. Again, drawn 17 and is going to need an incredible ride from there to win at this class. First up 1300, but you never know, and you're getting a price probably to compensate, probably around the 15-20 to 1 mark. So not too much value here with Artistry $4 and Daisy Doom $5, but for quaddy players, probably you're taking them 2 out in the first leg is probably the best way to go. Or if you've got a preference one way or the other, for me it'd probably be Artistry simply because it's got Bowman aboard, and that's the only difference really. It's a nice horse, 1300. They're both going to be strong at 13. Daisy's going to be up on the speed and out of trouble, and Artistry's going to be coming after it, but it does have Bowman to pilot. So Hawkesbury Guineas, and this one's probably a little bit less straightforward. Good standings, trial well first up. Generalissimo's coming off a win. He did look like he was having a bit of a disappointing preparation from his ability level standpoint, but he got home last time. Gate 12 this time, not sure where he gets to, and probably got a tough ask, but he is back on his home track and does look well placed class-wise. Sprite draws an inside gate, 1400 metres the query for her. She's probably going to appreciate getting back on a dry surface. She really was far better on that sort of surface 2s and 3s last preparation, and she's really struggled to sort of show her best this time in on the wet tracks. Another one back to her home track, and she's got to be a contender, but $4.50 probably looks about the bottom of her price bracket. Calander is a similar horse. I will probably show the replay here. This is just a benchmark 78 on a Wednesday. But the thing to note about this was the day where the fence was absolutely on fire. Calander got back and wide throughout. Takes off early, even wider. Here, really looks to be struggling big time. You've got a quality horse in Queen of Kariba that's had the colt sit in the best part of the track, peeled off its back to go round it, and Calander digs in when he's not entitled to and puts him away. And Queen of Kariba wouldn't have gone past him in another 600 yards. So he's a quality horse. There's no doubt about that. 1100 straight to 14 is a little bit of a query, but $4 or $5 again, probably about his right price. But I'd rather back him than lay him probably at those odds. Careless Choice coming off a country championship final after winning the heat at Scone. Lightly raced horse, 4 weeks between runs, obviously got a few issues, and I think he's probably got to go to another level to measure up here. Calabasas is a horse I'm happy to risk. Sarah Monsoon, similar. South Sonic, Ma. Prompt Responses, obviously the dual acceptor, and along with Rosa Carolina, probably go forward from their gates here, 11 and 9. And they're going to run really positive races. I think Prompt Response is ready to do something now, and Rosa Carolina really showed that she's got a nice strong heart last time and ran a good race. There's knockout chances everywhere here by Lee. Quite a few good horses here that can rattle off good sections with the right runs, and it's just a few queries about the being strong at the 1400, about the ones hard in the market. So it's going to be an interesting race. I think, anything from Good Standing, Generalissimo, Sprite Calander definitely can win. Prompt Response, Rosa Carolina, they're your main hopes. No huge value about any of those runners. If I was having to go for one, it would probably be Calander simply on upside and that win first up, and it's probably the right sort of tough run to get him to jump from 11 to 14 and up in grade. But I'm definitely not, jumping out of my skin to be taking the $4.50 that's around. Hawkesbury Gold Cup, and another really tough race. Mighty Lucky really ran well first up, now jumps straight to the mile. Not going to be an easy job, and he definitely doesn't win out of turn. Havana Cool's first up from a long spell, blinkers on, trialling well. Definitely looks up to it, but can he put in on the day? He looks like he's going to get the right run, nice and soft, and will be produced late. Fabrizio failed on that track first up behind Kellyville Fly, Duke of Valentinois. Jumps 14 to the mile, back onto a good track's definitely going to help him. He's an interesting horse from an inside gate. Spectroscope looked like he was a genuine contender in the Doncaster until those conditions were as poor as they were, and he just struggled. Can bounce back. Not an easy task to bounce back off that sort of run, 4 weeks between runs, but it is possible. Pajaro's honest. Marinostro's coming off a bit of a disappointing run. He's honest usually and will try hard. I thought Jesse Bell was a good run in the Group 1 Coolmore Dynasty race, just because it was really beneficial to be wide and wider in the straight here. And Jesse Bell got back to last on the inside and stayed hard. Really looked like challenging here for a few strides and clearly beat home most of these inside runners. Just the one runner who was outside her in the straight getting past her, and she's not exactly weak to the line. So she's an interesting horse for mine and looks value around the 25 to 1 mark. Moa looks like he'll run a really honest race and be back up on top of the ground, suits him. Here he'll probably race forward with the likes of Fabrizio and put on the tempo. Kellyville Flies in really good form. A mile's probably a little bit tougher here, and the gate's a nightmare. Not sure where she gets to. She'll probably have to push forward. Duke of Valentino obviously back in good form as well. I thought that effort was great the other day first up, and he's got no issue to the mile second up, but 17 gate is a problem. And Believe is a really underrated filly that I think, that will win a big race over her career. Just not sure if it's today or whether she'll even get a run. I think she's first emergency. So, great race, looks solid tempo. There's a few drawn awkwardly that can be competitive. I'm looking for value, and I'm thinking maybe Jesse Bell and Duke of Valentinois probably look the value around the stablemate Spectroscope, who comes up favourite. I'm got no level of confidence, and I'll be definitely going a little bit wide in the quaddie, probably throwing in the likes of Havana Cooler, Spectroscope, Jesse Bell, Moa, and Duke of Valentinois, but you can go wider than that. But that's probably as wide as I'd like to keep it at this time. Doesn't get easier in the last, and Beretta won on on fence bias assisted track. Ran them along and kept going, ran really good time, beating Octavian Augustus last start. Doesn't look like he'll get to the front again here, and if he does, he's going to have to work with the likes of Broadside, Pirate Band, Classic Records, Legislation, Gamblers Brews, probably not so much this time around in the race. Broadside's got to try and bounce back off a very strange ride last start. Zeganui comes out of the provincial maiden final where he ran a really strong race, gets Bowman staying aboard. So Willie was good first up, but he had the cold sit on a nice horse in Stampede, who's since come out and run a bit of a poor one, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. He definitely still looks a player here. Louis C.K. looks well placed. I'm just concerned about him at 1,500. Maybe on the top of the ground he can run that out. Ancient History definitely peaks here and gets his chance to improve if he's going to. Not a Gypsy's first up does look well suited at this level with this setup, bit of tempo, dry track, going to get back and need a bit of luck, but can run on and definitely looks a player. And Gamblers Blues dropping back from the 1700 metres of the, we get it right, Wellington Cup last start. Definitely can improve. He was second up there at the 1700, back to the 15th, third up here from a cold barrier. Does have a bit of pace and should just sit in behind them and probably get first shot at him, and does look very appealing. And Legislation on the home track off a really good win first up, where he didn't look ideally suited and probably can bounce forward and improve again at 30-1. Looks the value running in the race actually for mine. So really open race to finish. Quaddies again, we're talking probably throwing Ziganui in, So Willie, Ancient History, probably definitely throwing in Not a Gypsy, Gamblers Blues and Legislation. So another one that's probably going to have to go a little bit wide in, but hard to narrow it down too much with so many queries yet again over horses that are, showing the desire to win over this sort of a trip or actually have the ability to run it out, and it definitely does look like it should be at least an even tempo. So looking for strong horses in the last and going a little bit wide in the market for a bit of value in the quaddie. Quickly heading to Eagle Farm. Oops. The horses that I was interested in here, I thought that this horse, I'm a Ripper, for Tony Golan, was a really tough on-pace type. You've got the favourite coming up here in Billy the Kid with glue-on shoes for the first time. Another one hard in the betting, Oink, drawn an inside gate first up. And then the rest of them are really cutting up in grade and giving away fitness as well, like Zamex. I thought that I'm a Ripper could really take control of this race from the front. The Last Kiss, who's probably the most likely up here inside to kick up. You've only got it in Final Zero that look like fighting for the front early, and I think I'm a Ripper will take it up. I just really like the way this horse fights. He ran along in a pretty solid tempo last start, and he just continues to find. I think this track's going to suit, being up there and trying to battle on through it rather than getting back and whoops. Another day where he's taken on here in front, headed before the turn. Gets back, fights on and runs second. He's just a horse that toughs it out. He hasn't won a race this since winning first up in March. And I think this is his chance to break back into the winner's circuit simply because he's tough on pace, drawn nicely to sort of roll to the front, and that his main dangers have got fitness queries over this 1300 metres fresh and drawn inside gates, and may just struggle to have every chance, hopefully, and I'm a Ripper might be off and gone. So it's the one that interests me the most. The main race of the day, the Victory Stakes, down to 6 runners, and I hear that Tumbler's a chance of coming out. It has been well back today, which doesn't surprise me at all, considering the two Sydney horses have got such big queries on them, coming off heavy track failures basically, and so Takedown and Music Magnate are the two. I didn't think Music Magnate trialled exceptionally well to my eye in between races at 6 weeks between runs, and the time was okay, but nothing too over the top. And Takedown's probably the one for me that can improve the most. He went into that race at a 10 to 15 kilos over his normal racing weight on a heavy track and really did struggle to pick up. He'll strip fitter for that, and he'll position nicely from that 5 gate and run a race. And I definitely did think that Miss Covergirl and Tumbler were up to these horses, especially Miss Covergirl. I thought her trial was really good. And she's a horse that's always been underrated and can pop up at a big price, and she's sort of 20 to 1 again here in a small field, and that's a big price for mine. So I'd be betting around Music Magnate, to be honest, and hoping Takedown improves, and if not, the two locals are the dangers for mine. And I really couldn't find too much else around that wasn't obvious or had queries and didn't look too much value. So they're the two races I'll be playing in. Probably the one race, definitely the He's a Ripper, and hoping for the best in the rest. So thanks, guys, and good luck with the days either in Hawkesbury or Eagle Farm tomorrow. And let's hope that track holds up okay up there. Thanks, guys.